Welcome back to another creepy and scary video that might just have you question your entire reality. You want to be careful on these waters and keep your head on a straight swivel.
Giants and monsters. They begot, and behold, all the earth was corrupted. Through this we can come to the conclusion that these fallen angels were breeding with animals, and their offspring would be half animal and half fallen angel and very large in size. This reality would make sense with all the ancient depictions of monsters and creatures. Maybe those creatures weren't figments of their imagination, but actual half-human, half-fallen angel monsters roaming the earth. These beings maybe could have even held the capacity to think and reason just like the giants could. We know that giants had the capability to hold conversations because of the account of Goliath challenging and enticing the armies of Israel in 1 Samuel 17:8-10. A fragment of the Book of Giants also confirms some of these monsters having the ability to reason and communicate, when some of the giants had dreams of their destruction and shared these dreams with the monsters. Fragment 4Q530, column 2. Thereupon two of them had dreams, and the sleep of their eyes fled from them, and they arose and came to, and told their dreams, and said in the assembly of their comrades, the monsters. These monsters didn't hold the same connection to the fallen angels as the giants. The Book of Giants and the Book of Enoch describes the fallen angels' close connection to their children, the giants. Whereas these monsters were their offspring, they weren't cared for as deeply by the fallen angels as the giants were. Here's a verse from the Book of Enoch. And inasmuch as they, the watchers, delight themselves in their children, the giants, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity. The Book of Giants, fragment 4Q530, fragment 7. The children of angels are the giants, and they would not let their loved ones be neglected. All throughout the Book of Giants, the giant children offspring of the fallen angels and humankind were having ominous dreams of their destruction. One of the giants has a dream of a tablet with many names submerged under water, and when lifted from the water only 3 names remained. This dream symbolizes the destruction of all the unpure fallen life forms on the earth through the flood of Noah. The great flood of Noah now makes sense. Noah, his family, and the animals that were brought onto the ark were brought on not because of their righteousness, but because the rest of creation had been corrupted by the fallen angels and their genetic manipulations. Giants and monsters. They begot, and behold.
Man, I gotta read it. I gotta read that and the Book of Enoch. But you know.
So after the angels come down from heaven, the world just plunges in absolute chaos. There's literally women giving birth to giants because of angels. But my question is, what did they even do here on earth? There's this thing. So after the angels come down from heaven, the world just plunges in absolute chaos. There's literally women giving birth to giants because of angels. But my question is, what did they even do here on earth? There's this thing called the Dead Sea Scrolls. They found this in a cave. This thing is 2,000 years old. In one of these pages, it really focuses on the fallen angels. And this blows my mind every single time. Because this is called, no joke, the Book of Giants. In this book, it talks about how the angels bring both knowledge and havoc. The angels exploit the fruitfulness of the earth. Now, when I hear this, I think they were building empires. I mean, could you imagine a city built by angels? But that's not even the most interesting thing, because there is this one sentence. It talks about the angels taking 200 animals from all species and genetically modifying them. I'm not kidding. In other words, it says right here, from every animal, from every bird, for miscegenation. Miscegenation means crossbreeding. It's genetics. It's the highest form of science, and it kind of makes sense, actually. The angels were making their own creations. They were playing God. And that just begs one question. What would a fallen angel ever want to make? So after the angels...
They said, what do they want to make? Did you see how he looked crazy at the end at that? Is that what they're making? Set, Ra, Thoth, all of them? That could be their greatest creation if they got it off. Dang, this is gonna be a juicy one. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. But let's dive deeper in these waters. A Book of Giants. Wow. Have any of you guys read the entire thing before? Is it an actual book that you can read? Or is it just a whole bunch of manuscripts and tablets type thing? I don't know. You guys help me out.
Of the giants. There was a giant world before us. whether you believe it or not. You tell me, why would all these giant books be made? And these books are found throughout different parts of the world, from giant medieval manuscripts to 300-year-old giant books found in Spain, among other countless ones I can name. I have always questioned, why would anyone in those times need books of that size? For example, a book written in the 13th century in the Czech Republic, weighing in its 75 kilograms, and in pounds that would be a little over 165 pounds. Now you tell me, how could any human of our size use a book that heavy?
If the fallen angels were down here and they were trying to create all these ancient Egyptians or whatever, what if they did end up actually making some structures that we could still see today? Like some of those Tartarian structures, those still fascinate me. What if angels, there's a chance that fallen angels could have possibly had something to do with that work. There's a chance. That's all I'm saying. And I'm starting to believe it by looking at these books of giants. For entertainment purposes only, do your own research on everything. Quick disclaimer. Now they're saying these are mushrooms. Could possibly be. That looks like one for sure. I mean, it looks pretty similar. Wow. Where is this at?
In 1848, Abraham Lincoln said this before Congress: "The eyes of that species of extinct giants, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as our eyes do now." In 1848, Abraham Lincoln said this before Congress: "The eyes of that species of extinct giants, whose bones fill the mounds of America, have gazed on Niagara as our eyes do now."
They said they fill America. Oh my goodness.
Book of Enoch provides an account of historical events leading up to the Great Flood at the end of the last ice age. This Hebrew text tells a story of the Watchers. The Watchers were sent to Earth to protect humanity and watch over them. In biblical terms, they were called fallen angels. The Watchers became infatuated with human women and began getting very close to them. The Book of Enoch tells that they had children. The children of the Watchers and humans were called the Nephilim. The Nephilim were said to be giants and savages who ate humans. Giants appear in almost all folklore and mythology from every continent and religion, which begs the question, is there any truth to it?
You better bet your bottom dollar there's some truth to it. It kind of reminds me of Attack on Titan, man. What were they on with those airships and giants? It's almost like we're reading this word for word when they were making it.
Watch what this guy had to say about the military hiding giants, the Nephilim, in military bases underground. Watch this.
Fred Renrich, that was one of the things that he told me. He's the one that was talking about seeing the giants in the deep underground military bases. He said that one of the first things that they had to do before he was allowed to go into S4 or S20 or any of the others, they made him sign an affidavit saying, you're not allowed to use the name Jesus Christ in these underground facilities, not even if you stub your toe or anything. And he said that he saw 10 to 25 foot tall giants in these underground bases and said that they were, the human scientists and other people working side by side with him. He said that they even came right out and said they were the Nephilim. They came right out and said it. Said that, basically we're preparing for an intergalactic war with God. And they believe that they're going to win. Where are they getting this? They're going to win from? And why are you not allowed to say the name Jesus in these underground facilities?
And watch this. Huge doors underground in I believe this is like a military base or something. But what could they be hiding in there? I mean, what else, right? And well, we also know that the Bible said that the last days will be like the days of Noah, right? There were giants in the land, and people were living in sin, giving into marriage, doing their own thing until the door of the ark was shut. But one more thing for those who last to the end. Have you guys seen those videos with pictures of truck drivers saying they're delivering to creepy underground warehouses? What else could they be delivering? To whom? Perhaps to this giant Nephilim who needs to eat? That's my guess. Well, if you like this video, make sure to like it, comment what you think, and share it with your friends. God bless you guys, and see you guys next time.
Did you hear what he said? He said, where are these truck drivers that are talking about going to these underground facilities with all this food? Who are they feeding? Bro said they feeding the Nephilim. We got to type it in.
Y'all wondering how much food is really being hidden from y'all, huh? Y'all wondering how much food is really being hidden, huh? I know it. Underground, though. I'm underground, though. Gonna make me hab in here. Let me get up out of here. I get ticklish. Me, I'm about to be nosy. Knowing me, I'm about to be nosy, though. Like, it went deeper over here some more. Like, they finna go underground over here. Like, there's a big hole right here. Oh, this they little pond. This they little pond over here. This they little pond over here. Okay. Some ancient shit going over on here, right? They water pump. That's what that underwater water look like. I bet just some living in there. A little gold spot right there. Look. Look like gold right there, don't it? I know, man, I'm under the ground, man. Big chillin' under the ground. It feel good under the ground. I'm under the ground, boy. What is that? But yeah. We under the ground. We under the ground. We under the ground. Come out the ground.
Dad, are you sure you know what
Following
you're
the New
doing?
York City police detectives through the underground tunnel to the abandoned synagogue.
Come on. Yeah.
Down lots of steps into the darkness we went.
You see, there's all types of stuff underground. What is this?
However, the state of Missouri doesn't confirm that. Sounds that's a little better. This was supposed to come up on Tom Sawyer's Island in Frontierland, which in 1956, Walt Disney was said to have given it to the state of Missouri, and the governor of Missouri was supposed to have annexed it. However, the state of Missouri doesn't confirm that. So I'm not sure if we're coming up in California still. It's getting kind of dark, so I'm going to throw my glow stick ahead of me to make sure there's no sudden drops or anything. Okay. Okay. Again. Made it. I made it. I made it. I am in it, Disneyland. It's kind of short.
That was weird.
Pay attention, where is this truck going? Pay attention, where is this truck going?
This one now, yeah.
He's like, I'm at the West Hall. We are literally driving to the Central Hall right now in the Tesla Good Tunnel. We literally just got in. I saw your photos that I'm going to laugh and say, I just got here. We're leaving.
We lived here 5 years and I've never been down here.
Well, this has only been open since January of 2021.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. I'm like, how did I
That's all
miss
the,
that? I know that's my
like all the
seatbelt.
custom builders. Hi, at least you're going faster than 25. Thank you.
Besides what we're doing right now?
So technically, we're just a transportation service for the convention center.
Okay.
Eventually, we will be a transportation service for the city, to an extent. Because after SEMA last year, we did get approved for 30 more miles of tunnels to be put in. Resort World was our first expansion onto that. I do believe Encore is going to be our next. But eventually, when it's all said and done, we'll be going up and down the strip, down the Fremont Street.
This tunnel.
Well, not this one specifically,
okay.
but like more expansion.
Okay.
A few other off-strip locations, Allegiant Stadium, and even up to the airport.
Wow. That's dope.
This reminds me
Reminds me of Universal
I
Studios.
wonder why.
A little bit.
Are they gonna turn it into a train versus cars?
So cool.
No, not that I know of. I do believe it will always be Teslas down here. The one you may be.
This one now, yeah.
He's like, I'm at the West Hall.
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool that they got the underground for the Teslas. That is cool. But it does make you question, were those tunnels already there, or did they make those? How cool is that? They found artifacts underground in Chicago. Did you see all that stuff? It looked like it was got snatched straight off a Tartarian building. I want to see it. Let me know your guys' thoughts below on that one.
Look at this. Look at this. Now, the Underground Railroad. For this to be such a big part of American history, I was wondering why there's no tours, no field trips to go see this infamous place where slaves escaped from, underground. A runaway slave trying to get from, say, Atlanta to Michigan would take 10 days walking nonstop. But you can only run away at night, so that's 7 hours out the day. That's roughly 34 days to get from Atlanta to Michigan, through cornfields, cotton fields, whatever. See, I think our ancestors knew about the underground tunnels that runs all under America, even where you're standing here today. That all seems to be running to and from the Grand Canyon, Grand Central Station Canyon. Now in the Grand Canyon, you have taverns, you have caves, you have places to rest while you're on this underground trip. It's even rumored that you can get to Africa from the Grand Canyon, which better explain the Egyptian artifacts that they found in the Grand Canyon and tunnels. There's tunnels running all through America. Detroit, Indianapolis, St. Paul, and many other places. Brooklyn. Now guess who else know about these underground tunnels besides the government? Walmart. Walmart is rumored to have FEMA camps and food stored down in these tunnels as we speak. Walmart has also been rumored to be involved in a lot of human trafficking all over the world. One survivor of an abduction said that she was taken from Walmart into a tunnel where they would sell them on a Walmart website. Go Google $5,000 shoes at Walmart and tell me what you see. Look at this. Look at this. Now,
The underground tunnels, man. They finding more and more underground tunnels every day. I think they knew something back in the day and how to work those tunnels. They definitely did. And how it all leads to the Grand Canyon? What did he say it was? Grand Junction? Oh my goodness, that was a fire one. I might have to go back to that one. We might need to do a whole video on underground tunnels, honestly.
We found the real life.
Alright, let's dive back into these. Hey guys, huge shout out to my lunch break, but he dives in deep into what's really going on with these underground tunnels. So let's check this out.
Before we begin, I have something to add on to episode 40's Oshkosh work. And this information is going to be coming from an anonymous source. I was told that these are photos from behind the main lobby of the life insurance building that we covered in episode 40. And they are inside of a huge vault that they now call a conference room. Can you believe it? So we not only have the griffins on the outside, on the top of the building, which some may have thought were there as a random decoration, but we also have them on the inside, all for a life insurance building. Are we sure this is normal? Of course it's not normal for a life insurance building. This is the exact kind of stuff that we are looking for in this research. Now let's zoom in on this picture of the top and look at it closer. We can clearly see mermaids and centaurs, or in other words, a horse body with a man attached. Then we literally have the exact same picture on real life display. This must be incredibly symbolic of what was going on in the old world. In my opinion, none of this stuff is fairy tale fake. This is a display of actual animals and people from the old world. You can, as always, believe whatever you would like to believe, but this is where I'm at in my research. And right in the middle, we have the griffins, touching the tree of life. These griffins must have been incredible creatures to be the center of the display. We know how meaningful they were to Grand Tartaria at this point, and that's what was on their flag, the griffin. Now, in my opinion, this is a depiction of us as humans at the bottom, with the sun and the moon right here, and this area is all we could see. But then there's all this other stuff going on above us and around us that explains that this place that we live is so much more in depth than we really know and are told. What an incredible building. After this episode and what I share about Oshkosh in this one, I highly recommend that you all see the outside of this building and everything that we found in Oshkosh, Wisconsin from episode 40. Now, what if every building, every college, was a stolen building, and there is a lost history in every town? Edited photos that we are told are real. Not a single person in the photos, or we get a photoshopped horse in a wagon that was actually never there. Why are the are real? Not a single person in the photos, or we get a photoshopped.
Could fallen angels possibly design this back in the day? I'm almost starting to say yes, if you ask me. It's getting close. I'm starting to think maybe.
Horse in a wagon that was actually never there. Why are the streets raised from the previous level? in nearly every town. Windows and doors that lead to nothing but dirt. Why would anyone build like that? Nobody would. There are underground tunnel systems in nearly every city, all to transport alcohol during Prohibition? Come on, that's not good enough. Were these incredible buildings actually built together at the same time and not built individually? Connected, and the builders were aware that the mud flood was on the way. A massive catastrophic event, whether it was done by the controllers or if this place that we live resets itself on its own.
He said they knew it was coming. That's why they built them to be portable, because they knew the mud flood was coming. Whoa.
Like clockwork. Was this common knowledge of the previous civilization? Who are we to say? The tunnels are here, and this is undeniable. So something happened, and this previous civilization definitely knew that something was coming. And it definitely wasn't to smuggle liquor for your friend's birthday party. The average person wasn't digging tunnels. This was a major operation. Is there a world under our feet that we're unaware of? Buried by mud and dirt? Sure, New York and Chicago and the major cities have tunnel systems, and we know this. But where it gets crazy is that it isn't just the major cities. It's even in cities such as Oshkosh, Wisconsin. These tunnels underground have been used for many things back in the day. Back in the day? No, we aren't just brushing this one off anymore with the back in the day stuff. It goes on to say, one of those things was running liquor back and forth from building to building. So even in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, the buildings are connected underground with zero construction photos of anyone ever connecting a building to another one. Are you seeing the lie even clearer now? Should we go even deeper? Here we go. Welcome to episode 42 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description. Of operations and massive is going on in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. When you have mass are all below the. Thank you to Rebecca K. Awesome and helping this channel out a lot. Now we know this town also has a tunnel system that connects all the buildings together. So when I was showing how the windows are all below the current ground level, this is what I'm talking about. There is a tunnel system. These buildings are so much bigger than we can see. And how deep are these tunnels? What is down there? And you know something crazy is going on in Oshkosh, Wisconsin when you have massive military contracts awarded to Oshkosh Defense. On December 16th, 2022, Oshkosh Defense LLC announced that the U.S. Army placed a $543 million order. So this is a town that is funded by higher powers, and they're taken care of. We are always told to trace the money, right? A massive military corporation providing aid to the Army, Marines, Air Force, and Navy. Who is really in charge of this town, setting up these kind of operations and massive contracts? So we have tunnels, massive military contracts, griffins on the buildings, pillars and columns everywhere. This place is just unbelievable. And there is a book called Oshkosh Down Under. And look at this stuff. We have photos of the entrance to the tunnel from the old Mercy Medical Hospital. Tunnels in the 1800s? Not only were they building above ground, but also below? This is insane and opens up so many more doors for us. Here we have the tunnel from the hotel to the Opera House. And there's even a sign saying tunnel to the courthouse. Remember, these tunnels connect all of the buildings, not just one. There is a massive tunnel system right below the sidewalk. So when you go back and watch episode 40, remember that there are now proven tunnels below where I was standing. This is crazy stuff. In the future, if you guys like this kind of stuff, I'll go back to Oshkosh and see if we can get inside the tunnels. And so we're clear, these tunnels were found and repurposed by our current civilization, in my opinion. This book states that they used the tunnels to transport prisoners from the jail to the courthouse, which they no longer do. But this is not what it was originally used for, of course. Here we have a photo of the entrance to the tunnel from the county safety building, taken by the city of Oshkosh. So these tunnels were no secret. It's incredible. Now in 1944, we have a witness that states She was working for Gateway Valley Wholesale Liquor, located next to a private garage. She left for lunch one day and saw an area that was going down into the hotel. And this opened up into a tunnel, leading underneath the alley and into the hotel. She says that she remembers seeing glass cubicles that brought light down into the tunnel, by using the sun, of course. And to prove her story to be true, there is a map below from the Sanborn Fire Insurance map of 1903. So they had to report their map to the insurance company. And the map shows that there are in fact tunnels under the hotel. So when I was showing you all the windows that were at the current ground level in episode 40, and also the exact same thing most likely going on in Ancient Champagne, episode 36, in my opinion, I think that all of these tunnels in all of these cities and towns lead to a central point. And I think that this point is where the Freemasons set up their lodge. I think the lodge is the central point of all the tunnels.
Oh my goodness, I might have to. This is getting way too deep. This reminds me of all the underground tunnels in the major cities that lead up to the Grand Canyon, man. These tunnels was the architect, they knew what they was doing. We are behind. So much is being lied to. So much is moving on. It's just, I just feel clueless out here with so much action taking place behind the scenes. Oh my God.
But that's just where my opinion stands at the moment, based on all of my research. The police were the ones enforcing the prohibition. These tunnels lead from the courthouse to the jail, and all the places that were enforcing the prohibition, including the courthouse, and many other places, but my point is, this wasn't designed to smuggle alcohol by gangsters and bootleggers. You wouldn't design your tunnel to go right to the jail, or the courthouse, or the police station. These tunnels were used for a much different reason for the previous civilization. And how deep do these things go? Are there more that we don't know about? Are there buildings completely covered by the dirt that we can't see? And thank you to Shiny Penny on X for bringing this book and map to my attention. We now know that using the Masonic Temple as the starting point, if you plot the schools in the surrounding area of Oshkosh, you will see the pentagram symbol appear. Randomly, of course. No. I'm just pointing out facts here. You are always free to think whatever you like, of course, but we can see what's going on here. This is a clear operation. This is not by accident, in my opinion. And this is not the only town that this kind of stuff is taking place in. For example, we have the Ybor tunnels located in Tampa, Florida. There is no doubt that tunnels do exist under Ybor City, but their purpose is highly debated. The most common belief is that bootleggers or the Tampa Mafia dug the tunnels under many of the establishments along the city's main drag, connecting them to the port, allowing easy smuggling of shipments of liquor in and out of the city. So another narrative saying this was for smuggling liquor, with zero evidence, as this was just a common belief. Who says that this is a common belief? Who gets to decide that? This is not what I believe at all.
Where's our vote? Don't we gotta say in this? Don't we gotta say any type of say in this? What's the common belief? You just take our comment and just run with it, huh? Oh my God. Tunnels under Tampa. This is all you in Florida. Did you know about this? Yes. A whole, just like Chicago underground network. Yes. Tampa. I wouldn't be surprised. All major cities have an underground network. If you see a Tartarian building, best believe it's an underground network below there. The Eiffel Tower, yes. Giant radio transmission center, if you ask me.
Not even close. I believe that these tunnels were there before, found and repurposed possibly, but not created for alcohol smuggling. This is crazy. All over the world they use this crazy narrative, building massive tunnels that connect so many buildings together perfectly. All for alcohol? No way. A reminder, of course, that this was done by a civilization that rode around on horses and couldn't even build a road. Dirt roads, but incredible tunnel systems around the world. Give me a break. They couldn't even build a road on the ground. Why should we believe that they could create connecting massive tunnel systems below the ground, all over the world? All for alcohol? Did the prohibition even happen? Or is this just an attempt to explain away the tunnels that are everywhere? I know which way I'm leaning. And was there something that these tunnels had under
He said, did it even happen? Hey, I'm with you, man. This dude is the GOAT. He said, did it even happen? They just trying to cover something up.
Ground that we weren't allowed to see, or are possibly still there? Did they have the previous civilization's items, their technology? And of course, we all know about the Boring Company. Do you think this is the first time in the true history that humans have ever dug a tunnel? No, of course not. This is a classic example of using the previous civilization's technology and saying this is the first time. We really honestly don't come up with ideas very often. All of these things that we're told are invented in the last 200 years at rapid speeds, and are all things that the previous civilization already had. And was there only one previous civilization? Or has this happened many, many times before?
How many times has this happened? You guys been asking some great questions, saying the 1,000-year reign already happened. Whoa. We need to take a break and look at that. This is getting outlandish. How many times has this happened? They been digging tunnels. What type of technology did they use to build these tunnels? You know? I don't know if the fallen angels built these ancient buildings, if it was the 1,000-year reign. Man, the 3D printing ancient technology. Man, your thoughts below. Tell me what you think.
And do you want to see how this works? Do you think this is a one-off? Would you like to see how the narrative is coming from a single source, telling the narrator what to say to us, lying and repeating the same story over and over and over, just like the news, being told what to say and not actually showing proof of anything, just guessing and telling us that it is common belief, never even seeing a bottle of alcohol down in one of these tunnels, and we just accept it. Well, not anymore. We're all allowed to question it and use common sense, and use only facts to form how we look at things. The tunnels of Benicia. Not only are we given the exact same narrative as the other two tunnels, but we are also given the exact same words. Bootleggers transporting alcohol through the hidden tunnels in California. This is the exact same story, yet thousands of miles away from each other. From Oshkosh to Florida to California. How do they all know how to make perfect tunnels underground, but cannot build a road on the ground? Never a mistake, just perfect tunnels, all connecting to all of the buildings. Now, knowing this information, how can we even look at a building with windows under the current ground level the same ever again? And this paragraph is showing it to us again, that all of these things that we are suggesting make so much more sense than the crazy narrative that we are told, suggesting that there were people before us and that our narrative is lying to us about it for their benefit and to hold power over the people. Why would that be shocking? It isn't. It is also so much more believable than the crazy timeline that we are given. And the mistakes make it clear that there were dirt roads, yet there were perfect tunnel systems underground with no power tools. Who is transporting the people to these tunnel sites? An Uber? No. They were supposedly riding their horse home in time for dinner. Now, this paragraph states that arguably a more proper and kid-friendly explanation. Wait, before we continue. They again don't know why these tunnels are here and just making things up. Okay, here we go. Some mysterious people that we don't know who they are say that the tunnels were originally created as an escape route for the town's elites. Believers of this theory claim that there was a tunnel entry point at the Capitol building, connecting to the clock tower and surrounding buildings. The underground route would allow for the city's elites to safely escape militaristic threats. Now, this tunnel system is supposedly connecting all the old world buildings together, exactly like we have shown in the other cities. My question is, what in the world is underground? And how big are these buildings? I definitely don't think that the dirt is just hiding some tunnels. These old world buildings that look insane above ground must have unbelievable stuff underground that we cannot see. How big is the Cologne Cathedral? What kind of tunnel systems are under these major cities? It's incredible stuff. The door is now wide open for us to go even deeper, literally and figuratively. If we're able to get our hands on technology that can see underground, one day, this could be bigger than we ever imagined. Oh, and we're not done yet, because I'm not leaving evidence on the table. We have the Bavarian tunnel system, where we are told, and I quote, that there were 3 separate tunnels connected to at least 4 different buildings at the Bavarian Brewery. More alcohol and more tunnels and more buildings. And even more uncertainty from the narrator. The north entrance was reportedly in the boiler house, but it may have been in the engine room structure, which was converted to a bottling department after Prohibition. So it might have been, but we really don't know what we're talking about, because we found these tunnels and we're clearly lying. Let's scroll down and take a look at this together. And keep in mind what words they are using. They don't know how these tunnels got here. What they write is a complete lie in my opinion. Here we go. They also illustrate that Tunnel T3 had been bricked up by 1950. Wait, what? They bricked the tunnel up? I wonder what they didn't want us to see in 1950. And this was probably done sometime during Prohibition, but of course they aren't sure. And we are supposed to just accept that. There would have been staircases in both of these buildings providing access to the tunnel. And it is believed, but totally unsure again, in the exact same paragraph, there is so much guessing and uncertainty. But it is believed that Tunnel T2 was used beginning in 1907, possibly until the brewery was closed in 1966. Possibly. So they are unsure about all of this. They don't know anything. They are trying their best to explain away massive tunnel systems that were here in the 1800s, that do not fit into the narrative, that connect massive buildings together during a time period that people supposedly had candlelight. Do we all understand how hard it would be to dig out all of this dirt and form massive tunnel systems? The dirt would have to go somewhere. Do you think nobody would notice this dirt? And this would take so long that surely somebody would notice the dirt sitting there eventually. They didn't have dump trucks that could take the dirt away in a day. Surely somewhere in the world where these tunnels were being built, some authority figure would have some questions. Like, what are you guys doing over there? With massive amounts of dirt piling up and thousands of pounds of limestone for the walls. The narrative sounds so insane and a joke, because it is. And I'm so thankful that we are on the other side of this narrative now, not just blindly accepting it because we're told to. So what happened to this tunnel? Well, in 2017 to 2019, during the construction of the Kenton County Government Center, Turner Construction reported encountering multiple tunnels. So there were even more tunnels than we're told about. And T2 and T3 were in their way. So Turner demolished the tunnels. So let's move to Cincinnati, Ohio, where 40 feet below the current ground level, 10,000 square feet of tunnels were supposedly built in 1855. Now, after everything that we have said, this is just insane. Another tunnel system in the 1800s, and they aren't going to tell us that this one was used for alcohol too, or will they? Oh, of course they will. This one belonged to the Link Brewery, which was a half a mile away from the tunnels. What? Wait, the brewery was a half a mile away from the tunnels, but they are taking credit? Why did they need massive tunnels? To age the beer in underground tunnels? Are you kidding me? After Prohibition ended in 1933, the tunnels were useless and filled up and destroyed. Wow. This, in my opinion, is literally proving that Prohibition was an excuse for these tunnels. And now that we can drink alcohol again, we're all cool with them just destroying these tunnels from the past civilization. Over and over and over. This is the excuse. But in January of 2018, they accidentally made a mistake and discovered more tunnels during renovation. So 2 months later, they didn't have any other choice but to show them off to the public. And what do they care? Everyone is buying the narrative at this point that these massive tunnel systems are here because of the alcohol ban from back in the day. You can even see in Atlanta, Georgia, where their city is basically all above ground. And there are stores underground that used to be there. It's so weird. And Kansas City has one too. And then we were told in about 1887, a 22-foot wide, 18-foot tall, and 810-foot long tunnel system right under the people's feet in Kansas City. Why have we not gone and investigated this one? Well, it was sealed off in 1956 and basically forgot about. I wonder why it was forgot about. Well, maybe because it was sealed off. Definitely an agenda, working all over the world, working together to hide the true history. And we see it over and over again, covering so many different topics, the tunnel system being only one of them. I hope you all enjoyed this episode today. I've always been really interested in the tunnel systems and all of the underground stuff, including Denver Airport. where they supposedly built a brand new airport when they didn't even need a new airport, that now has a lot of buildings that were buried and connected underground. So the past civilization showed the way, and it continues today, right in front of our faces and now right below our feet. If you all like this video and want to see more, subscribe, like, and let me know in the comments below. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I will never look at the ground the same way again. Just wondering, what is right below our feet that we just can't see? I'll be back very soon with much more. See ya.
Don't trust what you see.
Unbelievable. Huge shout out to my lunch break for dissecting, reverse engineering the lies. Man, it makes perfect sense now. All these underground systems, do you see it now? I mean, there's just no other way to. We went all the way through there. You see the systems of how they used to link up, and now they shutting them all down, just like every old Tartarian building, and all these old world fires in Chicago. Man, come on. Kyle kicked over a lantern and everything going crazy. Come on, man. They covering up our history, man. They lying to us.
Giants found in stasis in Utah caves.
A giant pharaoh in stasis was found in a cave in the desert Southwest. Since I've been on talk radio for 25 plus years as a host and interviewing some interesting people, one of the things that's afforded me is the ability to have people who've seen this stuff that everybody else says are crazy to contact me. Now, the red-haired giant king and queen that were in stasis were found in an unknown Utah cave. The presence of giants in the caves of southern Utah and the desert Southwest are so numerous that you can't turn anywhere to the east, west, north, or south and not encounter somebody that knows not only the myths and legends, but has seen.
Giants found in stasis in Utah caves.
I found it, you guys. The lost doorway, the hidden doorway. This one that opens and closes to the land of the giants here at Zion National Park. I'm going to start panning from left to right. Show you guys all of the mountains here. I'm going to bring you guys all the way around and show you that we actually found it. The tunnel entrance. Oh my gosh. Look. There it is. Can you believe it? There it is. The tunnel entrance. All the way in. Was this made by giants? Who put this there, you guys? Clear up there. It looks like some kind of an ancient temple in the mountainside. Oh, we found it. There it is.
When I say the rocks were alive, I meant the rocks were alive. Do you really think this is just coincidence? Do you really think this is just some pareidolia? We're not just seeing faces here. A whole lot more than just faces. A coincidence is going to the market and seeing your friend there at the same time. Pareidolia is seeing faces in clouds. This isn't seeing faces in clouds. Just think of where all that pink Himalayan salt comes from. Now people say that's not how fossilization works, or we got carbon dating, but how accurate is it? You know they lie to us about everything. Just look at some of this petrification. Some of these artifacts that have no explanation. Petrification and fossilization takes a lot shorter than they tell us. And in the right scenario, like one big, massive cataclysmic event, you have a perfect petri dish for what you see here. Geology. That is nothing more than hardened biology. Question everything, friends.
Geology, nothing but hardened biology. I like that one.
What is it?
Person, dude. No, seriously, pull over, pull over. There's a person standing there.
No, it's not.
Dude, have you seen what I've seen right now?
It looked like somebody's up there walking.
Look at this, you guys. Have y'all seen this? Look at this. Knowing what we know about mountains and rocks now, right? Petrified wood. Look at that. This is apparently a temple in China, y'all. But look at that, right? Now what we know about, giants and petrified wood and the rocks and the mountains. Look at it's a whole being, y'all. It's a whole being. Look at the face. You got the arms. Look at the torso. The legs over here, y'all. Look at that. And what is it? I guess that's the stairs, but look how megalithic this thing is, right? And to say this probably comes alive at a certain point in time, right? Just like everything is alive on Earth. We knew giants to be real and they were being used to be manipulated in these ancient cosmic wars. But look at that, y'all. Right in our face. Truth in plain sight, just like everything else. There are some things in the earth that you cannot hide, y'all. And this right here is literally one of them, y'all. Look at this big, beautiful.
I think they might have carved that boy in China. I think there is some petrified stuff out there, but that one specifically, I think that one might have been carved.
According to a Gnostic text called The Reality of the Rulers, the Archons have bodies that are both female and male, and faces that are the faces of beasts. Thus, they're not truly male nor female nor human nor animal. The ancients found this kind of boundary crossing to be deeply threatening, and this description of the Archons implied that they were forces of chaos, so mixed up as to be the farthest that a created being could be from God. Because the Archons had created humans in the first place, they had created humans to be extremely susceptible to their influence and to be almost unable to resist it. Only the divine spark from heaven, which had slipped into creation despite the Archons' intentions, gave people any kind of a chance of resisting the Archons.
It looks like a cool movie, like a cool Star Wars, I would watch this. Is it out there? Yes.
John's temptations. But only a few, the Gnostics, were even aware of that divine presence within themselves. And even for them, it was a tremendous ordeal to act in accordance with that presence rather than the wishes of the Archons. Most people were just the puppets of the Archons. Thus, the normal, default state of humans was literal demonic possession. The number of Archons varies across the Gnostic texts, but there are commonly said to be 7 Archons, whose identities and names vary as well. These 7 corresponded to the 7 planets that had been identified in antiquity, whose movements were credited with producing astrological fate. Strangely, we see correlation with the Anunnaki and the 7 great gods of Sumerian texts.
The Archons.
Okay, I have to do a trigger warning on this.
Y'all better look out for them Archons, man. Them Archons.
In 18
So I have been reading the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Apocrypha, and specifically the Book of Giants, and one thing I don't understand is why society tries to treat these books as if they are not real. The Book of Giants is literally terrifying, so I can see why people rather call it conspiracy than recognize that it is part of history. So I'm going to share some of these things with you and show you the Book of Giants, and we're going to go through it together. Those of you who are unfamiliar with the Apocrypha and the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Dead Sea Scrolls contain parts of the Apocrypha, and the Apocrypha are books of the Bible that were left out of most Bibles. The Apocrypha was left out of Bibles because they include things like visions of the apocalypse, things about aliens, and stuff that just does not align with modern religion. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in 1946 over a period of 10 years, and it was found off the west bank of the Dead Sea, and it includes Jewish manuscript from the Second Temple period. So these set of scrolls were found in a cave called the Qumran Cave, and they contain things from 1st and 2nd BC. This will be the next episode on my podcast, which you can find on Spotify under the name That's Insane with Aja. You can actually go and see the Dead Sea Scrolls. They're on display. Well, some parts of them, because other parts are kept locked away in the Vatican. Yes, I know. They're in everything. But anyway, the Dead Sea Scrolls are ancient manuscripts that were discovered between 1947 and 1956 in a set of over 11 caves near the Khirbet Qumran on the northwest shores of the Dead Sea, hence the name Dead Sea Scrolls. And they are approximately 2,000 years old, and they date all the way back to the 3rd century BCE and to the 1st century BCE. So in this literature of the Dead Sea Scrolls, they come across the Apocrypha, which are taken books from the Bible. It's crazy in itself because there are multiple works of literature from all around the world that reference the same set of Apocrypha. Basically, there are 10 manuscripts of the Book of Enoch in the Dead Sea Scrolls, as well as the Book of Giants. The Book of Giants in itself is absolutely wild, so let's just dive into that now. Have you ever heard the story of Noah's Ark and be like, wow, there's something missing? That's where the Book of the Giants come in. Basically, this Book of the Giants tries to explain why Jesus sent the flood, and it talks about how fallen angels came to earth and were mating with many different species, and that they took 200 goats, 200 of this, 200 of multiple animals, and that they were mating with humans, and this created giants. So the story of the giants starts around Genesis, and it says that these fallen angels came to earth and they were corrupt. They were taking advantage of humans, and they were doing corrupt things with animals. They were taking 200 of every species, and that they created offspring, which were the giants. There were these various breeds of giants that were created from the fallen angels that came down here and would do unspeakable demonic things, and they were called the Nephilim, the Gibram, and the Rephaim. And this began the early half-breed races, and they actually fought against God and his righteous followers, whose number diminished as the world was overwhelmed with corruption of evil. Then another offspring called the Machian were fragments, and they gave these wicked ones the general name demons. Yes, and they were also called bastards because they had fathers that were fallen angels but no mothers. I'm gonna have to do a part 2, but the Book of Giants actually has a lot of apocalyptic stuff like in it, as well as talking about demons and their originality, and just parts of the Bible that seem like gaps. It kind of fills it in along with the rest of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So if you guys want this to be a series, please let me know, and thanks. So I have been reading the Dead Sea Scrolls.
If you ask me, I feel like learning about the Book of Giants and learning about the Book of Enoch is important. Now, is it important for salvation? No, I don't believe you necessarily need it to get salvation. all you have to do is believe in the Son. Believe that the Son was the true Messiah. You know, me speaking strictly for myself, you know, I fall short of God's grace daily. So, you know, I just am thankful that, you know, because of what Jesus, Yahushua, what his Son did, God, Yahuwah, what his Son has did for us, I am very appreciative for that, and that I may one day, you know, make it to the heaven. I hope so, but like I said, you know, I fall short daily, you know.
Two men in the Bible who never died. You better watch this.
1. Enoch. Enoch is mentioned in the book of Genesis, Genesis 5:18-24, as a righteous man who walked with God, and then he was no more, for God took him. Enoch lived for 365 years before he was taken by God, and he did not experience death as others did. 2. Elijah. Elijah was a prophet in the Old Testament and is known for his powerful ministry. In the book of 2 Kings 2, 1, 12, it is described how he was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind by a chariot of fire and horses of fire. Elijah did not die, but was taken up directly to heaven.
If you believe the Bible's true, subscribe or follow for more.
There are only 2 people in the Bible who never died. That's right. Besides Jesus Christ, who died but then was resurrected, there were 2 people that didn't die. Elijah was taken up to heaven, but before him, there was a man named Enoch. I want to tell you about him. Don't scroll, share this video. This is for fathers. So I used to just blaze through genealogy. Anybody else? But this week, I was actually reading it and I got rocked by it. Check this out. Enoch lived 65 years, then had a son, Methuselah. Then it says after he had Methuselah, he walked with God for 300 years. I'm telling you, there's something about becoming a dad that makes you walk closer with the Lord. Look at this. In verse 24, he walked with God and he did not die. God took him away. Wow. Here's the crazier part. Methuselah lived longer than anybody else in the Bible, 969 years. Could it be that a father walking in close relationship with the Lord can produce life for his children? There are only 2 people in the Bible
Damn, was that a cherubim? Yeah. Oh, that was Lot's wife. The pillar of salt. Don't look back. say that he was one of the prettiest angels or best looking angels or something like that. You gotta keep your head on a swivel. The Four Horsemen.
When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they'll be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. When Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely you don't mean me, Lord?" Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi?" Jesus answered, "You have said so."
Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of gold, but I do it daily for nothing.
Doing in my house? What are you doing in my house?
This video is going to be on the Watchers from the Book of Enoch. This is where we get the mythology of the Greek gods, the Roman gods, the Egyptian gods. This is Zeus, this is Thor, but they originally came from the story of Judaism. So this is about the angels who came with basically Satan, or you'll see, who came down to earth and reproduced with women, and they bore Nephilim, who they talk about in Genesis 6 and 3. Let's watch the video together and tell me your thoughts.
In today's episode, we continue through the Book of Enoch in chapters 6 to 8, which gives us vivid details about these very Watchers, who they were, what they wanted, and perhaps most importantly, how these evil angels corrupted mankind. The chapter begins to paint us an image of the era in which the Watchers make their move. We are told that it was a time where man had multiplied greatly, and humanity appeared to be on an upward trajectory, with more and more lives being born. In this time, we are told that the daughters of the men were comely and beautiful, not just in their looks, but in their innocence, their spirit, and their righteousness. It appeared to be a time where if there was sin, it had not been proliferated or exacted in the capacity that would come to follow. But sin would soon make its mark on the earth, when the Watchers, a group of angels in heaven, noticed the beautiful women, and were enraptured by them. The most interesting takeaway from this chapter shows us that temptation is not just something humans have to deal with, but that also the angels themselves can be swayed by sin. The Watchers, as their name suggests, were deemed by God to do exactly that, to watch over the humans and never intervene. So it is by this that we see them painted as something of antagonists in these chapters, for the very first action we see them commit is a violation of God's rules. The text tells us, "And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from amongst the children of men, and beget us children." You'll notice that the chapter seeks to highlight the severity of temptation, in that the angels, in this case, are referred to as the children of heaven, and that even these creatures, divine as they were, gave into their impulses. They lay out their objective clearly, in that they intend to take the women for themselves, have sex with them, and father offspring. This interestingly gives us a new idea that is not established in the Bible, in that angels, at least the Watchers in this case, are not only able to conceive their own plans, but are also able to produce offspring with human women. It would also appear that their desire wasn't just stirred by the beauty of the women, but by their desire to father children, suggesting that, like us, the divine creatures also foster an innate urge to procreate, or at least share the values of the mortal men of the time, where extending one's own bloodline and legacy was imperative. The chapter continues to establish something of a hierarchy amongst the Watchers, and we are introduced to the leader named Semjaza. As the leader, Semjaza shows some restraint and opposes the bold idea suggested to him by his fellow angels. We are told, "And Semjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin." Now there are two ways to read this particular line, one that paints Semjaza as noble and mindful of his place, or as already corrupt and something of an instigator as well. You'll notice he tells his fellow Watchers that he fears that they will not do as they have proposed, and that by merely conceiving that idea, he will be the one to pay the price of sin, considering that they were under his charge, and thus led by his example. By remembering the sin in the first place, Semjaza shows us that he is aware of God's power over him, and recognizes the consequences if his Watchers were to act on this plan. No doubt he too would also be punished, for he would have certainly have failed as their leader, and perhaps in some way had cultivated such sinful thoughts amongst his own. But secondarily, some might say that Samjaza was as complicit, if not more so than the others. You'll notice that he fears that they won't do the deed at all, and follows it up by saying he alone would be the one to pay the penalty of great sin. In this, it can be interpreted that Samjaza is inciting the others by saying that he is the only one who is bold enough to do such a thing, hence why he would be the only one punished. He fears that they will not do as they say, and that upon execution of the plan, only he would be bold enough to fly down to earth, mate with a woman, and father a son. In a sense, it can be said that Samjaza is calling the others chicken. But the others are quick to call Samjaza's bluff, and tell him, "Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing." Here, the deceptiveness of Samjaza can be identified, for it can be said he provoked the others into action by suggesting that they were not as brave as him. With this, the Watchers not only allow the temptation of the women to get the better of them, but they also demonstrate pride and appear to value Samjaza's opinion of them far more than that of God's. They do not want to appear cowardly in the eyes of their leader, and would rather irk God than suffer such shame. Perhaps more likely, though, they crave the mortal women above all else, and Samjaza merely facilitated their ambitions and made the choice all the more enticing. The chapter continues of their descent to earth. Then swear they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared, on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Samjaza, their leader, Arakelbar, Ramil, Kokoblel, Tamlel, Ramlel, Danel, Ezekiel, Barakajal, Asael or Azazel, Amaros, Batarul, Ananel, Zakil, Samsapil, Saterel, Chirel, Jomjael, Sariel. These are their chiefs of tens. Here we learn that there were a total of 200 angels who descended from the heavens to lay with the mortal women, and that their landing was upon the summit of Mount Hermon. We also learn that this all took place in the times of Jared, the father of Enoch, and a 6th generation descendant of Adam and Eve. Unfortunately, I cannot be certain about the pronunciation of the names of each of the angels, and depending on the translation or version of the Book of Enoch, the names can be spelled differently or appear entirely different altogether. However, the relevance of each angel's name does not appear to affect the Book of Enoch in any conceivable way, and it would appear that the naming of the angels was merely the original author's method of giving some character or significance to these particular watchers, who are described as the chiefs, and possibly the lieutenants of Samjaza.
Please take a look at these images. Which person do you think is older? Well,
Interesting. Sounds like they were trying to get theirself hype, and they really cared about the leaders, how he viewed them. He was like, "Man, look, I don't think you guys are going to go through with it. I'm the only one that's going to go down there." And they all got hype and went and started going crazy, man. But it's interesting to hear that viewpoint of how they have to amp themselves up kind of, and they were committed, that's for sure.
Chapter 7 continues with the unfolding of the Watchers' plan, as we see them take the mortal women as wives. The text tells us, "And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. and they taught them charms and enchantments and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. There is no indication that the women consent to the advances of the angels, or whether they are taken by force, but it would perhaps not be so difficult for the angels to deceive the women into sleeping with them. In any case, we are told that the Watchers defiled themselves with the women, suggesting they engaged in multiple sexual debaucheries and moral turpitudes. But interestingly, it would seem that the Watchers did not return to heaven after, but instead stuck around for a bit, perhaps intrigued by the mortals or otherwise infatuated with their beauty. They began to teach them charms and enchantments, the cutting of roots, and gave them knowledge of plants. Here it can be interpreted that the Watchers taught the mortals the use of magic, that which was forbidden knowledge and not the sort of thing that God had ever intended for man to wield. The charms and enchantments are unfortunately not specified in the text.
Yeah, because the video we watched yesterday, it said we weren't even supposed to write or read. We were, by the sounds of it, we were just supposed to be just living, walking around, enjoying everything on the highest frequency, just enjoying the best of nature, just walking around in pure euphoricness, you know? That's what I'm starting to believe. So like they're teaching them the cutting of roots, they're teaching them all this stuff. They weren't meant to learn this because they didn't need it, is what I'm starting to get from it.
But they appear to contribute to the earlier remark of the Watchers being defilers, perhaps defiling mankind's innocence with the practice of what might have become witchcraft or sorcery. We are then told more of the sin that would come to have greater repercussions on the earth, and that was the conceivement of the children between the Watchers and the mortal women. We are told, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them, and devoured mankind. Here we are told that the women gave birth not to regular babies, but instead bulbous beasts that were as tall as 3,000 ells, and not without a temper. These giants, thought to be the Nephilim, were monstrous, and had insatiable appetites, so much so that we are told here that they consumed all the acquisitions of men, most likely their cattle. When the food ran out, the Nephilim turned violent and began to consume mankind themselves. So disastrous were the Nephilim that no one was able to keep them in check, as they ran amok on the earth, more savage than anything that had preceded them. Chapter 7 concludes by telling us that mankind were not the only victims of the Nephilim's rage, as we are told, and they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. The consequences of the Watchers' actions are dire to say the least, and this is before God has even intervened. The Nephilim instead can be seen as an effect of karma, and also a caution that bad things will eventually take shape in one's life should they sin.
And you gotta think, you know, for the fallen angels to come and be with these women, and then they made these giants, they had to be on the earth for a minute for these giants to grow full of age. Who knows how many hundreds of thousands of years this was going on. For them to, it said they ate all the cattle. Exactly how long does it take to eat all the cattle? You know, that could probably take a good, 100,000 years to eat the cattle. So this was just going on for a minute. It sounded like the humans was trying to plead with them and keep them at bay. But man.
the Watchers were probably not expecting to produce such monstrous creatures, and sought only the short-term gratification of their needs. But the story seeks to show us that everything has a price. While Samjaza is seen to consider the ramifications of sinning, he only considers the consequences his actions will earn from God, and omits the earth altogether. In this, the Watchers demonstrate arrogance, and likely believe themselves to be so above man that they do not care about the repercussions that the mortals then have to sustain. The Nephilim in this sense then become man's problem, as the Watchers do not claim ownership of them, nor do they take fatherly responsibility for the creatures they have spawned. Their impetuous actions are even denounced by the earth itself, where the Watchers are deemed as lawless ones. Considering the appetites of the Nephilim, I do not think it is out of the realm of possibility to suggest that they too try to consume the Watchers, divine or not, and that here the Watchers may have come to see the folly of their actions. In fact, it is uncertain whether the Watchers were really able to enjoy Earth thereafter, nor whether they themselves were even strong enough to oppose the creatures that they had fathered. It seems unlikely that they were a match for the Nephilim, considering the description that goes into the creatures, those that are such ravenous creatures that they even turn cannibal and start fiending for each other's flesh and blood. Chapter 8 of the Book of Enoch tells us more about what the Watchers taught mankind whilst they were on Earth, and how they went about with their corruption. We are told of Azazel, a Watcher who taught men to make swords, knives and shields, breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all colouring tinctures. Despite not being the leader of the Watchers, much of the condemnation in the fallout is reserved for Azazel, who we later learn is pursued by the Archangel Raphael with the utmost prejudice. Perhaps because unlike Samjaza and the others who taught the mortals magic, Azazel taught them how to make weapons, and worse yet, how to use them. With this idea, it is believed that Azazel showed man how to hurt each other, how to wage conflict on each other, and how to kill each other, and instilled in man a sense for warfare. The magic given to mankind by the other Watchers was perhaps harmless, inconsequential even, but the crafting of swords, knives, shields, and breastplates that were taught by Azazel brought only pain and suffering. You'll also notice that Azazel is responsible for man's mastery over the metals of the earth, and the art of crafting them into bracelets and ornaments, objects that would be fought over or even idolized by mankind. It is these sorts of items in jewellery, ornaments, and costly stones that would inspire greed and envy, destructive sins that would corrupt man. The beautifying of the eyelids is another interesting aspect mentioned in the passage, and some have thought that this was in relation to makeup and cosmetics, and that Azazel taught the less beautiful women how to compete with those who were naturally blessed in the looks department. Some have also said that this painting of the face was a deception, and that Azazel instructed the women to do this in an effort to entice men and make the world promiscuous. In any case, the Watchers' efforts to corrupt man were successful, as chapter 8 tells us, and there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. The other Watchers are also named and shamed in this part of the chapter, where we are told Samjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings, Amaros the resolving of enchantments, Barak Kajal taught astrology, Kokoblel the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Erekiel the signs of the earth, Shamsiel the signs of the sun, and Sariel the course of the moon. Here we are given more insights as to what mankind was taught, and how in the eyes of God, his creation was corrupted. Mankind appears to have been given the keys to the universe during the Watcher's visit, and while some of these teachings might seem benign enough, the Book of Enoch reserves that this was not God's intention, and that the Watchers had superseded him, thus angering him beyond measure. Some might also say that with the Watchers teaching mankind about the signs of the earth, the sun and the moon, as well as the constellations and the clouds, man gained independence from God. But in doing so, it can also be said that the Watchers invoked in man a thirst for understanding and a cultivation of an ambitious attitude that would set man off in seeking knowledge more than salvation.
Seeking knowledge instead of salvation. And that's the point I want to drive home here, that all this is cool and all, but what's the main thing you want to focus on is salvation. Man, he hit the nail on the head at the end. He said, are they seeking knowledge or salvation now? That was a good one. I enjoyed that one.
Did this is a real giant?
Yes, that is definitely a door. Are you kidding me? Look at that. Zoom in on that. I don't know if you're on your phones, but you can put your 2 fingers and zoom in on this right here. You see that door up there? That's definitely an ancient door. 100%. And you can just go to this place. What is it called? Look at what they're saying. At the end of October, TikToker RB Diesel. They said, look, he deleted all his videos. Why didn't anyone film through the slot in the door? That's a good idea. Fly a drone up there. He said, bro needs to be careful. All his videos are gone. What?
There, right up there. That thing was open. It opened completely up, and then it closed back up. And there's a little slot in it right up there. You can see that little slot where it looked like somebody was staring out of. Dude, giants are freaking real. I don't care. Right up there. That thing was open. It opened completely up there.
He's pointing to the slot. This is in Oregon? Whoa. What are y'all got going on? There's so much wooded area and so much mountains, you know? There's no telling. We need closer pictures. This is in Oregon? I said the giant is watching his ring cam. That is hilarious.
That does sound hollow. So he just knocked on the door and he said it sounded hollow.
Uh-oh.
That does sound hollow. So he just knocked on the door and he said it sounded hollow.
Yeah, because you could tap on it and feel the vibration.
Right.
You can tap on it and feel the vibration, guys. He's literally right by the eye hole.
Oh yeah, he's going for it.
Oh no. Oh, Lord, protect him.
The anxiety really got.
It's just so like mossy and slippery, like for him to try to get
his shoes off.
He took his shoes off.
Oh wow, he's up there. That's how big the door is. That's somebody right there. I didn't realize that's how big the door is. Are you kidding me? Oregon.
Off?
Yeah, so he
just
had better grip.
Oh my gosh, he's probably free. His shoes just fell, girl.
No.
Oh, I thought it was like those his
I think
shoes.
he took his shoes off up there.
Oh, okay,
that
man.
first ledge. Oh, maybe he might have his shoes on. I don't know. What?
He said it's
He's trying to see
hollow.
what's inside.
Inside what?
The door, I guess.
Inside the crack in the rock?
I guess, yeah.
So someone put out a TikTok that they saw the door open, and so ever since then, everyone's been coming out here trying to see if it's real or not. If there's a door up there. So supposedly
He's laughing, but what if that was one of the, somebody that might be working for somebody, He's like, oh, what are you guys up to? Just trying to play Slick Willie with him. Oh, so you guys are really up here trying to figure, you know what I'm saying? Hey, that guy might be undercover, low key. That just asked him what's going on.
the hinges are on the right and the door opened and it was cracked on the left.
Y'all talking too much. Just tell him y'all out there. Just tell him you're trying to get a good photo of this beautiful rock structure. That's all you had to say. You're saying too much.
It got like 6 million views.
What?
And so he's up.
Babe! Sam's yelling at you.
You should have been down here, man.
He don't even have TikTok!
I got you guys. I'm going to tag you.
So did he find hinges yet?
I'm not sure what. I have no idea what's going on.
Everybody's seen it open. It's gonna be in there.
Jeez, all that stuff falling off.
From there.
He's almost to the bottom. Wow, that actually didn't even take him that long to get down to the bottom of the door.
I'm sure he does. Not the brightest. Not really sometimes. Yeah.
Giant, yeah, right there. So, okay, he's at the bottom of the door. He made it. Does it feel like the guy that went to the moon for the first time?
He's at the bottom of the door.
He's at the bottom.
This is golden. They are right in the crack of this door, you know? This really is a door. This right here is a door.
He's gonna head down this way into the front to get a different view.
It's going to be dark here in probably about an hour. Just giving you guys a heads up.
It's gonna be like dark in like an hour and a half.
Probably an hour.
Yeah, we're in a darker valley. It's 3:30.
Oh yeah, it gets dark at like 4:30. Oh.
Could you see the end of it?
Weird.
It's a huge crack.
I think that's what he said, yeah. You can't even see the other. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like it's hollow. Okay, he's like down at the very bottom now. Dude, that is a huge door, dude. Look at how big that is compared to us as humans.
He's like 6 foot tall, so not
Wow.
small.
They didn't tell you about this giant door on the Oregon Trail, did they?
He's just like roaming around now.
Should have brought him a fucking blanket.
Yeah, I bet he's freezing. He doesn't have shoes on and he has no coat or anything. I bet he's cold.
His adrenaline's probably going.
Yeah. No big footprints. That does sound hollow.
That is a giant door. What do you guys think this is in Oregon, man? I am extremely interested. Man, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit a like and subscribe button, man. Shout out to all my members, man. I got my members, all members. I put you at the end of these videos, man, and I just thank you. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging on these waters with me, man. I couldn't do it without you. I'm extremely grateful. We might be going live today, later on today. What's today? Let's see, we got some time. Yeah, man, we might be doing a live today, man. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I go live in between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern time, so be on the lookout for that. And thank you, man. If you enjoyed this topic, be sure to let me know. What did you like most about this video? Some topics you want to see me dive more on. But yeah, this was a good one. I enjoyed it. And I just want to say thank you for jumping on these waters with me, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.